And it just always takes a second to kick in on YouTube, but we should be live now.
Oh man, be sure to hide the. I mean, what?
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Destiny fan versus the Warframe fan here.
Oh no, we'll keep it respectful, of course. No.
But it's good to have you on my show, though. We definitely you're no stranger to this channel, though. I've had you on for my Extinction Level Gaming podcast.
I think that was like my first podcast I did. It might have been with you, or yeah, I think it was.
Really? So it was your first time?
I think I'm getting old, so maybe I miss. I'm getting the timelines messed up. So, but I feel like it was. I think you had who was it? I can't remember his name, but I think it was my first podcast with you.
Yeah.
You know what? Don't quote me on that. Somebody's probably like, well, actually, in the timeline of Triple Combo Gaming, it was actually this and that and the third, but I don't
know. You'll probably remember it later on, but yeah. You were definitely a small YouTuber. Yeah, well, I mean, you still are, but like but you're not like a stranger to the podcast community, though. You're on quite a few podcasts. You're on with Doom and Wise.
Yeah, Doom Wise, and I finally had my appearance on Loke's podcast. Yeah, so it was a great time.
Yeah, well, we'll get into that a little bit later on. But what I like to do first, as you probably seen this show, is I like to go into gaming history. So
go ahead.
Yeah, so my first question I actually wanted to ask you, because I know your logo is the Triforce symbol, so I have a feeling that one of your favorite games might be Zelda related.
One of the Zeldas, yes, actually. So on that topic, one of my favorite games definitely is Zelda, specifically Ocarina of Time. It's a toss-up between Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker, but Ocarina of Time was really my first, if I can recall correctly, first entry into the series on N64. And if I'm remembering correctly, I think I got access to that because I think we had a copy of Hercules on N64, and my neighbor was like, hey, you want to trade games? And he traded his Hercules for his Zelda, and that was probably the best business deal I ever made to this day.
Oh yeah, you never can go wrong with getting some Zelda games, especially with how high prices those tend to go up. Honestly, I'm starting to feel like Nintendo's like a safe investment. Like your money's just never gonna go down; it's just always gonna go up.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're holding to your copies and they're fresh, definitely.
Oh yeah. Well, same for Pokemon too. But that's a different story because that's just like a completely different beast.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna ask like, what was your first console like starting off?
So that's always tricky for me to answer because growing up, I stayed with family, and my memory of gaming in that household was like a variety of consoles. I remember having an N64 at one point, PlayStation 1 at some point, and not mine, but like the family household had it. Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo. So I can never narrow down what was my first entry into the consoles, but definitely amongst those, like I said, N64, SNES, Sega, and I was born in '94, so that's why I'm just like a mix of different memories combined there, and Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color and stuff like that. So it's a variety.
But so you never really had like one console you like had for like the most time?
Yeah, so I would say in that sense, if we had to say which one, the earliest console I remember having for myself would definitely be the N64. I remember having like a little cabinet full of N64 games, and I still hate, being a kid, you don't get to keep or decide what happens to your games, because I don't know what all the games I have, but yes, there was a cabinet full of N64 games.
Your parents probably sold them out in a garage sale.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. So like if I had to narrow it down, like the earliest of like fondest and memories, I suppose, would be N64. But as I said, I do remember playing like Spyro on the PS1, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy, I don't know which Sonic game, but I remember playing Sonic on the Genesis. So, but yeah, just narrow it down and keep it simple. Would definitely say N64, but yeah, the Game Boy as well with the Pokemon Silvers and Golds and blue, red, and yellow. Like yeah,
Oh, those are
and
classics.
yeah, and I do have to shout out. I live down the street from a barbershop and like a little grocery. I don't know if the other one was like a little grocery or laundry, but I also remember having access to like arcades nearby, the Simpsons arcade, the one of the Ninja Turtle arcade games, and remember playing X-Men versus Street Fighter. It's probably like my earliest into. I'm not a big fighter guy, so I don't want to make people think I'm a fighter guy, but that was definitely one of the earlier games too where I spent a fair amount of time that I could with quarters in hand whenever I could playing X-Men versus Street Fighter, and I wasn't that great at it. I just remember a guy showing up and pulling out the Akuma and pulling out his ultimate attack, kicking our ass, me and my brothers, and leaving without saying a word, like that cool anime moment where he just walks out and doesn't say anything.
Oh, so okay, now I gotta ask, like, what would you say your favorite genre of like games would have been back then?
Back then, now we're saying like maybe 10 and younger ish back then.
Uh, yeah, the earliest age you can
Earliest.
remember.
Man, almost want to say probably just like a lot of kids, Pokemon, which will be an RPG. I specifically just remember playing a crap ton of Pokemon growing up. If we wanted to say like what's the consistent game that I was playing a lot as a young age, at a young age rather, was Pokemon. So I guess the RPG side of things. But as I gotten older, I don't play at least turn-based RPGs. I don't play a lot of turn-based RPGs as I've gotten older. But yeah, I would probably say
So kind of like your Final Fantasies and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I remember playing Final Fantasy 7 specifically growing up and playing. And again, my timelines all mixed up all over the place. But I also remember playing Final Fantasy on the Game Boy Advance. So I had to look into when the GBA was released. But Final Fantasy 1, and they had the combo pack of 1 and 2. So I remember playing those games and 4 as well. And Golden Golden Sun. Like it's been a while since I played Golden Sun, but there's something about that. So my memory there isn't the best when it comes to remembering the whole game, but there's something about that game that just stuck with me to where anytime I see someone mention Golden Sun, I'm like, yes, Golden Sun. I need to replay Golden Sun at some point, and I say that multiple times. I picked it up and put it down several times on the ROMs on my mobile, but yeah, probably would say RPG when at least when it comes to consistency in terms of what I play, was probably RPGs. But as I said, as I gotten older, I can't really do turn-based that much anymore these days because
That's fair, because a lot of them demand a lot of your time.
yeah. And the only time I can really get into them is, like I said, if I'm playing a ROM on my phone and I can have like the fast forward 2x, 8x, 4x speeds. I'm like, okay, this feels a little bit better, but try getting. I think I tried playing Dragon Quest. I think Dragon Quest we're at 10 or are we at 11 or 10 with Dragon Quest? I can't.
You know what's funny? You mentioned that, and so I don't know if you know this, but the App Store on the iPhones have finally allowed emulators. So of course, some of the few games I downloaded was Pokemon games. I could not play them at their main speed because it felt so slow when you move. So they gave you, so they gave you the option to speed up.
Yeah, because you start off with this basic walking, then you get your running shoes, and then you get your bike, but it's still slow.
Yeah.
Oh man, young me had the patience, but now I'm just like, nah.
It's so funny. Like when you're young, you have the patience for it, but when you get older, you kind of lose it.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. I tried, but I can't. I tried, like I say, I want to try getting Persona. I can't. I tried wanting to get into Kingdom Hearts because I did the Kingdom Hearts backwards. I beat 2 early on, like maybe between middle school and elementary. Whenever it dropped in, I didn't touch Kingdom Hearts as a series for the longest of time, and then I played 1, and 1 was I had to take some breaks in between 1 for that one.
Yeah, understandable.
Oh hey, Gaming Coach, what's up, man?
Yeah, Nelson in the chat. Shouts to you. Yeah. All right. So, what was what was your favorite console back then?
Console. Hmm. Back
Or you know what?
then,
You know what? You know
or
what?
in general,
I'm gonna throw in handhelds too.
handhelds.
Yeah. So either console
So
or handheld. You can only pick one.
all right. So when you say back then, what are we talking?
Yeah. Like what was
Time.
like? What do you think you had the most fun with back then? You know, like the most memories, I guess.
I would probably say Game Boy Advance before I got the PSP. Game Boy Advance again because of Pokemon Emerald, Ruby, Sapphire, Golden Sun, Final Fantasy 1 and 2, Minish Cap, Legend of Zelda Minish Cap. Think what was it when their Dragon Ball Z Goku? I forget the title, but they had like a Dragon Ball Z Goku game on the Game Boy Advance. I remember playing. I can't remember which one it was, but I'm pretty sure there was a SSX Tricky on Game Boy Advance as well. So before the PSP, before my PSP ownership, it would have to be Game Boy Advance. I don't know when I got a PSP. That was probably like middle school, but I would definitely have to say Game Boy Advance as early as I can remember. I tried getting into Fire Emblem on the Game Boy Advance, and I couldn't really get into that one. And I also tried getting into Breath of Fire as well, and I put some hours into it, but unfortunately, I couldn't get through it. So, but yeah, I would probably have to say Game Boy Advance.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't have too many memories with like the original Game Boy, but I did have the Game Boy Advance. But that was kind of later on, when like right when they released the DS. So
Yeah, I got you. I got you. I also forgot to mention which one was it? It was Mario and Luigi. It's their RPG ones. All Stars, I think is what it was.
oh, I remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah, fond memories playing that one. So yeah, I kind of, I have a 2DS right now, and I trying to see which DS titles would still work on that one because I know they put some on the DS, and I always wanted to try to get to them, but I never did. And now you're trying to get into old games nowadays. They're ultra expensive.
Good,
or
good,
so
good,
you
good.
look like.
Especially for Nintendo. Good luck with that.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if my brother will ever watch this, but I am a twin, and I remember playing one of the fond memories I had with Game Boy Advance. So, and Pokemon was Ruby and Sapphire, and I strictly remember him demolishing my whole team with like I think he was using Grovyle, if I'm getting my generations correct. And his Grovyle was just demolish my whole squad because unfortunately I wasn't the most strategic player in Pokemon. Sometimes like I like the color blue, so I was like, of course I'm gonna have water types up the wazoo, and that's
Oh
not good
no.
when one,
Type
one thing can
advantage.
just yeah. So I wasn't the most strategic when it came to Pokemon because yeah, I just whatever felt cool at the time. And I mean like fight your gym battles and your elite fours and whatnot, of course. But when it comes to like again, me and my brother fight, I was like, oh, this is my favorite team. Maybe it mostly consists of water types, but whatever. I like this team, and we can get demolished together and still have fun, I guess. So.
Oh yeah. When you're younger, you don't really know what you're doing. You just kind of go with your favorite, with whatever your favorite one is. Like for like me, I always like the fire types, but I paid no attention to the type advantage.
No, definitely.
Honestly, I kind of fucked up when I was playing the Pokemon game on my phone because I'm playing Leaf Green. I was trying to fight a fire. Because I didn't capture any good water types, so I was fighting a fire. I was using a fire types to fight against rock types.
And I think
Yeah, it was like
it's a struggle. We've all been in that situation where you're like, damn, this isn't effective at all, but this is all I got.
Yeah,
You better have your Pokemon stocked up and battle of attrition at that point.
you just hope your Pokemon doesn't die.
Pretty much, yeah. So it's yeah, I not to get too deep into the Pokemon, but I died off of Pokemon significant. I think the last one I was into was probably Diamond. I want to say probably Diamond, and I have not kept up with Pokemon at all since then.
But it sounds like you were big in Nintendo games back then, though.
Kind of, yeah. When I look at my console history, just a brief like in terms of ownership that I could say I personally own was like GameCube, as I said, N64, also PS2 and Xbox. So, but probably like you said, like I said, the Zeldas, the Pokemons. When I think of GameCube, pretty was like Resident Evil 4. So, trying to think, Smash Bros. Of course, and I to this day,
Always a good
I
one.
still, I, okay. Little tangent here, all right? So we go, me and my brother, we're competing in Smash Bros. Tournament at our local Game Crazy at the time. We made it to like the top three, right? And I'm trying to think if we're doing like a free for all is what they were trying to do. Now, logic would state, hey, brother, team up with me, brother. We could beat this total stranger, and then me and you can go up into the finals when it's us two. And he's like, no, it's a tournament, so we have to go free for all. It's just like,
Oh no.
we could have we both could have won. No. So man, so but yeah, going back to like the GameCube, I kind of forget Wind Waker as well. Like I said, it's always a toss up for me between Wind Waker and Ocarina of Time, but I love Wind Waker from the art direction, the tone. Like one of my favorite scenes from Wind Waker, if you played it, was you're like spying on his fortress. And it was like, man, how are we gonna get into the fortress to go and fight or find? I think it was looking for his sister, if I remember what the story. And Zelda, who's I forget her pirate name, but I'm just calling it Zelda because that's Tetra. I think that's her name, Tetra. But she was like, I got a master plan. So she put Link into like on a catapult in a barrel and just like launched him at the fortress. And to this day, that's like still one of my favorite moments of gaming. I just love that so much. So, but yeah, as I said, when it comes to the consoles, I would say definitely GameCube, PS2, and Xbox. And further into the generation, I became less and less of a Nintendo guy, especially on the Wii. I think what I spent probably the most of my time with the Wii was probably Smash Bros. Brawl.
Yeah,
And
the thing with the Wii was that it just like didn't have like those hardcore games that Nintendo usually had.
Yeah.
And I think most of the reason for that was because like they kind of focused more on the people who bought it for like the Wii Sports and all that.
Oh yeah, that was everybody and their grandma got to play Wii Sports. And, like, yeah, so
They had so many fucking sports games back then.
yeah, like I said, all the grandmas had to get into it, and all the kids trying to kick butt in Wii Sports and breaking TVs. So,
Yeah, I would never get over the fact that there are kids who threw their nunchucks at TVs.
I wonder. There's this. I'm looking it up right now. There's this one game on the Wii. I don't remember how I felt about it, but I know it wasn't that great. But there's this game called The Conduit on the Wii that
I heard of it.
I vividly remember playing it. I don't. Pretty sure it wasn't that great, but for some reason that just stood out in my mind in terms of games on the Wii that I played. I was like, yeah, Conduit was. But I mean, they tried, but I think I had a classmate that was trying to play. Was it Call of Duty 4 on the Wii or something like that? Because, bless his.
Okay. So you said that you kind of like phased out of Nintendo after like the GameCube era. So like, what console did you go to, or did you kind of go to PC gaming at the time?
So during that time, it was the 360. I'll be honest, it was 360. 360 after the GameCube generation. As I said, with the GameCube generation, it was a mix of PS2 and Xbox, and I could go down the rabbit hole of like games I played on Xbox and PlayStation. But definitely in that generation of PS3, Wii, and 360, it was 360 is where I put a lot of time into gaming. Eventually, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, did you go for that because it was cheaper than the PS3, or because like the PS3 wasn't released yet?
Probably. I know my brothers and I, we all play games, and I'm sure we got it as a Christmas gift, and it was a gift that we were all asking for. Like we all agreed on that we wanted was a 360. So I'm sure that's why we got it, and we later got PS3. So it was definitely something we all agreed on. I'm sure the price was definitely a reasoning too. So, but as I said, with our history with the Xbox, especially with Halo, everybody, if you play on Xbox, you know Halo. And then it's like, oh my gosh, Halo 3 is only on 360. We got to get it. Like, there's no other question. We got to get it. So yeah, definitely 360.
Wasn't that, I think that was peak hype of Halo 2, right? When the
Halo
360 released with that. Which Halo was it? Is it Halo 3? Halo 3. Yeah.
Halo 3 was that was peak Halo. I don't think Halo ever reached heights that level again since 360.
Yeah.
I know somebody probably say something like Halo 4 probably, but
I mean, from what I heard, that game kind of lost some people.
Especially when
especially
Go
from the
ahead.
story side?
S- yeah. I story wise, I thought 4 was pretty good. Multiplayer wise, it was controversial because they had loadouts and stuff. Now, I'll
Yeah.
admit, between Halo, Battlefield, and Call of Duty, I was a COD kid. So the most Black Ops, I put too many hours to Black Ops 1. So
Yeah,
when
I don't blame you. I was caught good myself. So
yeah, so when I introduced loadouts and stuff, because one of the issues I had with Halo, and I'm playing it wrong, obviously, because of how it is, but like I like going into a match having your own loadouts, having your own weapons, you want to choose your builds and stuff like that. And then with Halo, it's like map control, and everyone mostly started with the same assault rifle and sidearm loadout. So I just gravitated towards Call of Duty. So when I introduced that in Halo 4, I was like, oh yeah, I could choose the weapons. You know, I could choose between the DMR. Trying to think if it was a battle rifle or DMR in 4, or the Promethean rifle, or like the carbine. And I was like, yeah, okay, we got diversity in terms of going into matches that you want to use, and you could use the sidearms, but the problem, and they also had like kill streaks of sorts. I think that was 4 where you could get like I don't know if that was 5. I think 4 kind of had like their own
I
kill streak
forgot about
type of
that. Yeah.
system. So,
That,
like I
that
said,
was that was the period where fans were complaining that it was becoming too much like Call of Duty.
yeah, but like I said, as a COD kid going into it, I was like, I was more interested in that. Unfortunately, I remember reading or hearing stories. I think the way they had Halo 4 marketed, or not marketed as they were making it, was like they brought in, if I recall correctly, they brought in people saying, we don't like Halo, so we're gonna ask you on how we should make Halo. Like,
That was
I
such a terrible decision.
I want to say I get it, because you know the COD scene was so popular, but I'm like, maybe you should ask the people who love Halo what they want from Halo. You know,
Honestly, what they should have done was just carve out their own niche, like Battlefield did.
Mhm.
Like you see all the people who used to compare Battlefield and Call of Duty at the time. Battlefield was
Yeah.
always doing its own thing, just trying to be more realistic compared to COD.
I couldn't get into Battlefield because of that. I was like, if you couldn't have a squad together in Battlefield, I feel I would just get stomped. So
Oh
I
yeah,
was like,
you would have.
yeah. So that's why I was more into Call of Duty, because you could do solo stuff, and all those games during that multiplayer scene had their own little, what's there, maybe grievances, issues, like especially with Black Ops when you start to get the ghost build going on and people are just camping in invis from everything you can do.
Yeah.
It wasn't perfect, but like I said, I love Black Ops. I think was it like a few days ago this week, I logged back into Black Ops 1 because somebody was asking like what's the most hours you have spent into a game, or a game that you had. I think they said over like 300 plus hours or something, and I don't remember off the top of my head because I had checked recently, but I'm sure I had maybe 200 300 plus hours in Black Ops 1. Played a ton of Black Ops.
Pretty decent numbers.
It's okay. It's nothing crazy.
No, yeah. I mean, compared
yeah.
to like how many people put in hours now in the new COD games, yeah.
yeah. No, it's trying to think if because it was between Black Ops and pretty sure Gears of War are the multiplayer games I spent the most, not including Destiny, which I'm sure we'll probably talk about later. I spent the most time in 360 because I love Gears of War 3. Like I know I'm all over the place talking about the 360, but Gears of War 3 was.
No,
was
I mean that's a
my favorite
360
multiplayer.
franchise. So
Yeah, it was. I just love the multiplayer in Gears of War 3 so much, and unfortunately, as the series or the game went on, like the balance kind of, well, naturally as multiplayer games do, you get your own metas and stuff like that, but it eventually ended with everyone camping with the hammer burst and just demolishing with that. But Gears 3 was something else. Like that was definitely my peak when it comes to the Gears franchise, especially on the multiplayer side of things. Gears 3 was phenomenal. The beast mode.
my history with Gears is well, I never played the series, but I've always seen people complain about it, how it kind of brought in like everything has to look gray kind of filter back then.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that was just a 360. Like that was that generation aesthetics, like Fallout. What was it, Gears of War? You said Resistance. I think maybe Killzone 2.
Until I think it kind of stopped until like what Uncharted released, when it had actual colors to it.
Yeah, Uncharted. I don't think Uncharted 2 had the brown.
Oh yeah, the piss brown colors. That was
It
such
was
an awful generation of colors.
yeah, no, it was yeah. I'm glad things branched out with with the color palettes because yeah.
It was either piss brown or fucking gray.
Yeah, no, exactly. I know Gears 3 they started to add more colors into it, but yeah, it was a time, I would say that.
So, what was your fondest like memory of like that generation of like out of any of the games
360?
you yeah like out of any of the games you played?
Ah, my fondest memory. Man, that's a toughie. Um, I mean, I know I was already talking about it, but I almost want to say Black Ops. Like
So just so
the
kind of just the Call of Duty scene that was going on.
well, I mean, the funny thing is with the Call of Duty thing on 360 is like Black Ops is the only COD that I really played. Like
Oh,
I
okay,
had,
okay.
yeah, I played all the CODs, but Black Ops was just my like that was the one COD game that I played a crap ton of. And so it's just the multiplayer side, the PvP side of things, and then the Nazi zombie side of things. Like me and my brother, we played so much, we put so much time into that. We put so much time into the zombies mode. I think the only DLC we didn't get with zombies, because we didn't have a lot of money at the time, was it was the Shangri-La map. I think what it was. We skipped out on that, so I never played the Shangri-La map. But I'm pretty sure I played nearly every zombies map on Black Ops. Even getting the was it the Cold War maps that got put into it. I played that as well. So I would probably say Black Ops. But man, I could list so much with like Oblivion. If we're talking about single player experiences, Oblivion was amazing. My brother makes fun of me to this day, but I never beat Oblivion's main campaign. I would just play the factions quests. I would do the Daedric Princess missions and stuff like that. But I just never beat the campaign. And then I would start a new character and then do it all over again. Never beat the campaign. Don't get me started on Dark Souls. I'm just like, Dark Souls. Yeah, like that's why I say 360 is my favorite generation, because there's so many fun games of that generation that I like genuinely and thoroughly enjoyed. You know, with like Dead Space, for example. Like Dead Space, I'm not even the biggest horror guy because I'm just a wimp. I'm just be honest. I'm just a wimp when it comes to horror games.
Oh.
But there was something about the first Dead Space that made me love that game.
Yeah, I honestly love the PS3 and 360 generation because just a lot of good games came out of it. Like franchises that are kind of dead now, but they're still good, like Mass Effect.
Mhm.
That's what kind of kicked. That's what kind of I enjoyed from that generation, and Uncharted, of course. But
Oh yeah, man, Uncharted, Uncharted. And which Uncharted? Have you played the full series?
well, I never completed one. Kind of just
Oh,
dropped
no,
that.
that's fair. That's fair.
I actually kind of started with 3.
Mm-hmm. But you at least played 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you played 4?
Yeah, I did. Well,
Okay,
a bit of
which
it. I
one?
never completed it.
You're upsetting me, Cal.
Well, okay. Well, the reason I didn't complete it is because my PS4 had completely wiped at the time because like a power outage happened.
No.
So
Yeah.
I lost everything. I kind of lost
I-
motivation to going back to it.
That's fair. That is fair. Never mind. That is fair. If you can, I would definitely recommend getting through Uncharted 4. I played nearly all the Uncharted except for Golden Abyss because I never got a Vita. And I kind of wish they would port it to the PS4, to PS5 somehow, some way, just to say I can. Because I don't want to go buy a Vita just for Golden Abyss. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Uncharted was phenomenal. Like that's also one of the, like I said, I got a PS3 later in that generation, and it was definitely the Uncharted franchises up there in terms of ones I enjoyed the most. Admittedly, though, Uncharted 3 just didn't. It was great, but there was something about it that I didn't like as much as 2. So, but it was still good. And then 4 hit, and I was like, this is like peak.
Okay. Now, tell me about like what generation or what console you kind of went to, or what platform you went to after like the PS3 and 360.
I started with pretty sure I got the Xbox One at the time. Is what I moved to after 360.
Were you sold on that TV stuff?
No, no. But yeah, it was definitely Xbox One, but I feel like, yeah, I got the Xbox One first. And I mean, it was an Xbox. It was an Xbox, I'll say.
Yeah.
Just playing. I wasn't really there for the third parties or exclusives. It was mostly just like what's the newest console I get into for the third parties, especially Destiny. And yeah, just when I'm trying to think three or Xbox One, like any exclusives that I played and really enjoyed, I can't really name any. I mean, like Halo 5 was great. Rise was, to this day, I still wish we got a Rise sequel, but here we are. Quantum Break was all right. I didn't really, unfortunately, I dabbled in Sunset Overdrive, but it was all right. I never beat it, so I can't really say too much on it. So,
Hypocrisy.
yeah. Yeah, I would have to look through my, because I mean, I had the Xbox One for the longest time, but I had to look through all the games that I played. So, I did eventually get a PS4, and I almost feel like I probably played my PS4 more than my Xbox One. Most likely, most definitely. And Bloodborne's, you got your Bloodborne's and stuff like that. Monster Hunter World, I know that was multi-plat, but I mostly played on PlayStation 4. And I had to look through all the games that I played on my PS4, but I know I started with the Xbox One, but I'm pretty sure I probably put more time into PlayStation. If we're not including Destiny, but that's the final, like,
Okay.
a lot more time into that.
I guess we'll go into that since that is kind of, since Destiny 1 was pretty big on the PS4 and Xbox One generation, more so than the PS3 and 360.
Yeah, I think I put most of my time into the 360 because it was I think that's probably why I got the Xbox One for Destiny, because I'm pretty sure it was their Rise of Iron DLC is where they dropped the 360 and PS3 consoles. So I was like, well, I have to get a new console now. So that's probably why I got the Xbox One, because I'm pretty sure I got it on eBay for a reasonable price. So that's probably why I was there. Oh man, but yes, yes, Destiny. You got any questions, sir?
Okay. So what got you into Destiny?
So funny thing with Destiny, when it was first revealed, I looked at it. I was like, it looks okay. It just looks like Borderlands, and I love Borderlands 2. So I was interested, but until they had the beta, I wasn't like head over heels for it. And then once I started playing the beta, I was like, okay, the gunplay just felt good. The abilities were amazing. And I mean, yeah, the beta just had my attention at that point, just from the game, how it felt to play the game. And when it finally launched, the lore was interesting. I'm sure that's why a lot of people, well, I won't say a lot of people, but that was definitely one of the draws for the game, is the lore part of it. But I think the main reason for me is just the gunplay the gunplay in that game is just so fun. Whether you're doing PvE content, your strikes, your story missions, if you're in the Crucible, the gunplay, it just felt amazing to play. And I know people will have their own fond memories of what was broken and what wasn't broken, and the balance things. I know I didn't get it personally for a while, but Vex Mental Class was broken in the Crucible. It's like having a always active power weapon. But yeah, the main thing for Destiny is just the gunplay and the combat. And as the years went on, when they started to expand with different expansions and opening the lore, that's another reason, is just wanting to see where the story went. And yeah, it's you would think like, oh, you got so many hours to it. Like it just comes down to the gameplay. It just felt great to play and just build crafting, finding out different loadouts.
Okay, now I know you played Halo, so I gotta ask, like, how did the gunplay feel like compared to the Halo at the time?
Things that you could do with that, Titans as well. So gameplay, builds, lore, and of course this is a live service game, the expansion. So I'm like, okay, I gotta be there for the expansion to see where the story goes moving forward.
Hold on, did someone join or something? It sounded like someone dropped out of the chat.
I don't know. It was hijacking the show.
Okay. Just, that was so weird. I heard the Discord pop out. It's like, something happened. But anyways, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, because I never played Destiny, so I don't know how much that gunplay feels, because I don't have the experience for that, and
Hmm.
I didn't play Halo at the time, so I don't know how similar it was. Because if I'm not mistaken, they were Bungie was kind of left Microsoft because they wanted to work on Destiny, right?
Yep, they had Easter eggs of Destiny in as far back as ODST now. If someone knows, maybe they had something in 3, but there's like a poster in ODST where they had like the Traveler on there, and I think it probably had Destiny quote in the title of the
Yeah.
poster, but like no, they hinted at Destiny all the way back in ODST.
Oh yeah. Okay. So.
Yeah,
So
it's
what?
oh,
Uh,
I was just gonna say, another thing is just the grind aspect of the game. Like, I grew up. Another game that I didn't mention was RuneScape, and I just sunk hours into RuneScape, so I was already
okay.
used to grinding out levels, grinding out things, and with Destiny, after you reach your character max level, now you're just grinding out loot, trying to get the best weapon rolls. So, I already had a history of, and Monster Hunter too. I forgot to mention Monster Hunter. So it's like, yeah, if I'm familiar with, chasing loot, RNG, and stuff like that, and trying to get the best builds, as I said, RuneScape, Monster Hunter, and with Borderlands doing the same thing, your different classes, your different loot drops, and stuff like that. Destiny is just like, hey, we got all that stuff over here too. So I'm just like, now you kind of speaking my language with that one, and so it just kind of, yeah, I just put crap ton of hours to it. It played great, like I said, and the loot chase was there. So yeah, too many hours, too many hours.
Okay. So, I take it that like Destiny 1 is kind of like your preferred over like Destiny 2 then.
Hmm. Um. I would probably
Okay.
say, and this is probably go. You're
Okay.
about to
Okay.
ask.
I'll save that for last because I want to get your experience with Destiny 2. Then.
Mhm. Oh,
Uh,
so you want me to talk about Destiny 2?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
So the issue with Destiny 2 is when they made the sequel, the things that people love with Destiny 1, they scrapped in Destiny 2. So in Destiny 1, as I said, you had random weapon rolls, you had skill trees that you could mix and max your perks. And then Destiny 2 dropped, and I was like, yeah, so no more skill trees. We're going to give you a preset of skills from the get-go, so you can't mix and max what type of skills you wanted. Random weapon drops were not there anymore. Like, all the weapons had a set static rolls, and they changed how the weapon worked. It used to be was it primary weapons, special weapon, and then a heavy weapon, and they changed it to where it was 2 primary weapons, so machine gun, or rather submachine gun, assault rifle with a pistol, and then everything from shotguns, rockets, snipers, grenade launchers is all in the heavy slot. So early Destiny 2 was not that great. Early Destiny 2 was not that great. And I guess a part of it was still being in the wanting to get the lore. And as I said, it is a people say it's not MMO, but like it's a MMO at this point, and a
no,
constant evolving.
it is.
Yeah, a constant evolving world. Like, I was there again for the plot, and the gameplay was still great. But yeah, the early Destiny 1 until probably Forsaken was lows for Destiny. But after Forsaken and building on top of that, and probably a bit of recency bias, I would probably say Destiny 2 is the one I prefer. Because as a sequel, it's a natural. I say natural after Forsaken. It's a improvement over the formula from the previous game. And since it's been going, I'm trying to think, I think at this point, Destiny 2 has been going on for much longer than 1, I'm pretty sure. But the constant improvements over Destiny 2 life cycle, I will have to give it to, Destiny 2. It's there's definitely nostalgia there for Destiny 1 being the the entry into the series, but as much time as I've been with Destiny 2 at this point in comparison, and just the evolution over the years with that, I would have to give it to Destiny 2. Definitely, but Destiny 1 has fun parts. I put
Even with the content problems currently.
The content problems with Destiny 2. See, the problem is Destiny 1 had its content problems too. Like, it's Destiny 1 wasn't perfect either. We had if anyone's familiar with Destiny 1 lore, like, the year one experience was, which is funny, like Bungie somehow has the constant history of like release the entry level of the game and it's not that great, because a lot of people were saying, you know, Destiny 1 would have almost died with the entry when it first released, because it was lacking content. The following expansions, I think, were the Dark Below and House of Wolves expansions were not great. And until the Taken King expansion, that's where Destiny really found its stride. But even between Taken King and the final expansion, which I think was was it Rise of Iron? Excuse me, I don't know if we're allowed to swear or not, but Rise of Iron.
You're good.
The Destiny community is not used to ups and downs. I'll just put it that way. Destiny community is not new to things, or they're familiar, right, I should say, with the series reaching peaks and then dipping so hard, and then peaking again and then dipping so hard. So they both had their own issues, definitely. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the Destiny community is it's something.
They're a glutton for yeah. It's had its highs and lows.
Yeah.
And we're finally approaching the end of the Light and Dark saga after 10 years. So we'll see how things go after this. So
hopefully they don't just jump off a cliff.
We don't know at this point. We're thinking we're gonna get a sequel, but they got to finish out the Light and Dark saga and see where things go from now.
They're also working on Marathon too.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be there for marathons. This is purely a PvP game. It's I believe it's going to be a PvP extraction shooter.
Yeah.
Over the years, I've just gotten trash at PvP. So like I said, my huge PvP time was 360 time with Black Ops, Halo Reach, and Gears of War. And then as the years went on, just like PvP isn't really my thing. So I probably won't be there for marathon unless there's some type of PvE component. Maybe check it out, maybe not. But for the long haul, probably not.
Yeah, well, you stick to that. You stick to that Destiny while I play the fine wine that is Warframe.
I'm happy for you, man. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm happy you enjoy Warframe. Like, but if I'm being honest, I don't hate Warframe. It's just what's the furthest I got into it? The furthest I got was what was it? The Second Dream, I think, is the mission I did. And I just slightly off topic. I'm so glad that they had cross progression now since like last year or something like that. Because
crossplay.
Yeah, so because my furthest account was my PlayStation account with my Mesa and several other Warframes on there. So, but yeah, the first I got was the Second Dream. So I tried to give it like an honest try. You know, I don't know how much I had to look over my PlayStation stats to see how much time I put into it, but I tried to get into it. And I guess the issue I have with Warframe, and I'm sure it's like, hey, depending on the difficulty content you're playing and what activity you're playing, and I've said I dipped off after the Second Dream, is it felt easy, I guess. Not like I said, I'm sure it depends on what you're playing, but and I know it's a power fantasy, but after a while, it kind of just got not so fun just mowing down enemies with little issue after a while. And I'm sure if I play certain activities where the difficulty is there, I just still couldn't.
They're trying to fix that. I mean, not really. It's not really like working, but they're trying to make things challenging.
It's I think it makes sense in my head. It probably don't make sense to anyone else listening, but I would say it comes down to kind of like, and of course, Destiny has also moments where you can do build crafting and just decimate enemies, but you know, depending on what level of difficulty of strike you're playing and your raids as well, it can definitely get challenging.
Cassie Cage in the chat. Shout outs to you.
Hey, Classic Cage, what's going on? But the way I would probably compare it is Dynasty Warriors and your Devil May Cry God of Wars, right? They're both hack and slash types of games, but I couldn't really get into Dynasty Warriors because I don't really care about killing mobs or enemies in like 2 swings. I'm just taking out mobs. It just doesn't feel as engaging, I almost want to say, for me personally, versus if I'm playing something like Devil May Cry. Yes, you have multiple enemies, but nowhere near the mobs of enemies in Dynasty Warriors. That's kind of how I feel with like Destiny, is that, as I said, of course, there's missions you can play where you're just rolling through enemies, but I remember was it some missions? There was a strike mission trying to do Nightfalls, and I'm just like, you had to be strategic on how you approach. And I'm sure, as I said, with Warframe, the higher difficulty you go, you gotta be strategic on which frame you're going with, weapons and all that fun stuff, mods and stuff like that. But it just never hit that level for me to where I felt like I had to plan to a certain extent. It was like either from one extreme to another. You're either decimating enemies or you're getting decimated yourself. I couldn't find that middle ground where I had to actually plan out and to strategize the way I would like to, especially again compared to Destiny. So that's why I couldn't really stick with Warframe. But like I said, I got through the second dream. I figured out who was hanging out in the back of the ship, and I kind of stopped there. You know.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Once you get to that point and you figure out if it's for you or not, then that's kind of it.
Yeah, and I guess another issue too was trying to do all the missions for was it you had to get the junctions unlocked to get to like different planets.
Yeah.
And I think some of those were just like not fun to try to do. It wasn't. Some of them weren't fun. To where I just like this is mind-numbingly. I think it's been a while, so I'm probably misremembering, but having to do certain missions and wait out trying to get like certain targets or find collectibles, and I'm just like, the progress isn't fun. I one thing I hate the most in games is when your progress is determined by RNG or something like that. And Destiny had its moments like that to where I'm just getting like mind-numbingly bored on some.
Well,
of
it's
them,
not
but...
like it's not like that anymore though. But,
yeah. Okay. So yeah, they open it up, and so but yeah. I tried jumping into Warframe like earlier this year just to see how things were, and I was like, all right, I'm out. I saw that they had some open environments, and I was trying to figure I was looking at the quest log. I was like, what have I? That's a lie. I'm out. I'll see y'all later. So,
all right, so
maybe
I gotta ask real quick. So since we're on the topic of Warframe, as a Destiny fan, how did you view like all the people who compare like other games to like Destiny? You know, like there was Anthem, which people compared to Destiny. It died.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that's what. Okay, the joke I have is like, stop calling things during that time. Like, don't say it's the Destiny killer. You jinx it. Okay, when you say it's the Destiny killer, you jinx it. Okay, Division 1, it's the new Destiny killer. Yeah. Anthem, it's the Destiny. Yeah, that didn't pan out well either. I mean, I'm all for new games at the time trying to get into the space. You know, I'm not like, oh, Team Destiny and anything else, I hate it, whatever. But because I played Division, I tried Division. It took me a while to get through the game. Like I had to take a break away from it just to get through the campaign because I just wasn't jiving with it. And then Anthem is such a sad story. Like I got a group of friends to play Anthem, and we were trying to play Anthem, and we had a little squad going, and after the campaign, things just died. It sucks, man. I actually had Go ahead.
I was just saying, I honestly think that Warframe's probably been the only exception to the rule of being called a Destiny killer, and it's just like,
well, I think
doing as good as it does.
Yeah, because I think Warframe came out the PS4 generation, didn't it?
Yeah, right when the PS4 came out, actually.
Yeah,
it was a little bit. It was out a bit before on PC, but most people know it because it came out during the PS4 generation.
Okay, yeah. But I remember playing Warframe a little bit. My brother was in college, and one of his friends or roommates had Warframe playing in the background. So that was my earliest memories of playing Warframe on the PS4. So I was like, it's okay. It's okay. I'm gonna go home and play Destiny
now. Fair enough. All right. Well, I guess that covers all my gaming topics I wanted to get.
Actually, turn things around to you real quick. What's the appeal of Warframe for you?
Me? Honestly, for me, I just love like the mysterious story that it has, like behind like the whole war and like what led to like Warframe's events. Like when you read some of the texts and like actually try to like delve deep into the Warframe lore, like it's pretty rich. Like you can make like a spin-off games because of it. And not only that, but I think the power fantasy is just like really fun. Like you can make an overpowered build like however you want, because that's the freedom Warframe gives you. Like you just like put a few mods onto a Warframe and you could just like one instant kill like enemies all around you. And that's something I think a lot of like games that like nerf like whatever like character based games that there are just kind of like, I feel like you just need to have some sort of power fantasy, you know, to have fun.
No, definitely. No, I definitely hear that. I know that's the that's just the push and pull of that genre. As playing Destiny, and people are upset with certain builds being nerfed because they're busted versus introducing new builds to try to get something on the table to play around with. I know with Monster Hunter World when it came out, one of the builds was using slice shots, and the problem with that though is the slice shots in that game would just stun lock the hardest of hardest enemies, so they had to balance the game. Like after a while, you gotta. It's that balance of making sure the game is fun, but also, I guess, depending on your level of difficulty, but make sure there's challenge to it, and you're not just like cheesing your way through certain activities. But as you're saying with Warframe, they know what they're trying to build. We're going to give you the power, and I'm sure they've had their own patch notes and balancing as well for something that's too much of an outlier. But for the most part, they're not trying to keep that in check.
Yeah, the only issue I have with the Warframe is that the content is like once you kind of reach like the end of like the story content and like having like the best like stuff you can kill enemies with, it's kind of like there's no other point to going even further than that. Like you can just to rank up, like, but that kind of gets you nowhere else because like there's nothing else to do. There's no dungeons, there's no raids, there's nothing else to do.
Didn't they try to do raids at one point?
They did, but they just took it out completely.
I mean, I would imagine trying to balance around how many Warframes are in the game.
There's a lot, but the problem is they don't keep them. A lot of the Warframes, because of when Warframe released, it was kind of tile based, where like every room would be different. But because when they went to the open world system, a lot of the Warframes that they released back then are kind of outdated now. Like they have to rework the power sets completely. So yeah,
I got you there. So I got you.
Yeah, so Warframe has its own problems, but like the one big thing is like retention. They can't keep like veterans anymore.
I mean, the game's been how many years old is it?
Yeah,
it's like what 10 plus. The PS4 generation, going on 10 years, if not more. As you said, it was on PC.
Yeah. Well, I guess with that, we'll go into your YouTube history. So.
My very spotty history.
Exactly. Also, hey Del Shooter, I see you in the chat. Thank you for supporting the show as always. Yeah. So I've taken a look at your YouTube channel for quite a few times. But like you're kind of yeah. So I guess that leads me to my question of like, what made you start like YouTube in the first place?
Just seeing other people talk about topics, and I was like, yeah, I want to put my voice out there. I want to talk on a few points. I don't know if I still have them, like the earliest videos, that the really cringy ones that I probably privated because I was like, these are horrible. I was just trying to talk about topics going on in the industry, and that's the start. I was like, I want to talk about stuff, and as you've seen, if you go through my channel history, I try different random things out. Sometimes, like I said, I would try to do a news topic related video, or I think I only did like one review so far, and that was on Scorn. But I also try to do like this random, what's the word you want to call it, like random short form videos where there was one I did that was like Smash Bros related. I don't even remember the topic of that one. There was a Smash Bros related video. I did one with Monster Hunter World, which was like a cinematic style trailer, like a fan made trailer essentially, using what was it, Come With Me remix from Ready Player One, I think is what it was. I did a random video on when Demon Souls for the PS5 got announced. This is a random 7-second video. So yeah, my channel is just all over the place in terms of content, and yeah, I'm still trying to figure out like what type of content I want to do, because the more I think about, do I want to talk about news all day, I'm just like, yeah, that's not really interesting. And I also forgot to mention that I tried doing streams and stuff like that on here as well, and that goes up and down. So I'm all over the place when it comes to videos.
Yeah, that's fair. So I guess what made you decide like your content, like how you were gonna like do it? because like everyone kind of starts off like, I'm just gonna go in the dark and do this.
Hmm.
Because like no one really has a plan when they first start on YouTube.
No, not at all. Like I said, it was consuming a lot of content creators talk about Xbox, PlayStation, the console space is how I got the idea of starting off with making videos talk about games. Funny enough, this isn't my earliest YouTube channel. I remember I had a YouTube channel way back in middle school, high school, give or take, and that was me remixing game trailers and putting songs on top of it. I'm sure people can remember that early age of GMV's game music video and AMV's anime music video. So I dabbled a bit in that.
The cringy era of YouTube.
Hey man, people were exploring. So I guess technically that was my first foray into this channel was my first foray into YouTube, but that history is like buried somewhere. So but yeah, it was just more so looking at what was going on in space at the time. And as I said, as I did a few myself, and as my brother also likes to call it, analysis paralysis, is at some point I just start to overthink on what I want to do instead of just making content. So but yeah, I think the question was what made me decide where I wanted to go with the content starting out, and that was just watching other content creators and what type of contents they were creating.
Yeah. Okay.
Like even now I've been bouncing around like I want to do a podcast. I was like, bro, if you don't get a video plan first.
I was actually gonna ask you about that later on, but we'll get into that when I get to that topic. But yeah, so you don't really do much with your own YouTube channel, but like you still like to collab with a lot of people, right? Like
I would say
be on other shows.
Yeah, I would say consistently I've been on with Doomsayer. Shout out to Doomsayer for bringing me on board, and we're trying to get a show going for them. I forget how long we were going with the Doomsayers. I'm pretty sure that was the channel. See, I feel terrible because I don't remember the full title of the channel, but yeah, it was Doomsayers was the guy that got me into podcasting consistently, I should say, on their channel. And then Doom had some personal stuff, so I've swapped over to Wise because Wise started his channel and asked if I could be on board because we were on Doom show together. And now we're doing Wasted with Wise every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Shout out. So it's I guess one of the benefits with that is I don't have to think. I just show up, talk about games and stuff like that, and call it a day. So that's why it's more easier to be consistent on that side of things because I'm on the panel talking and going on with it.
Yeah. So I guess what kind of made you go into podcasting in general?
It was as I said, I started the channel just talk about games, and when Doom approached and asked if I wanted to be on the show, I was like, yeah, I love talking games with my own friends locally. So being on a show with other people wanting to talk video games, I was like, yeah, that sounds fun, or fun, whatever. So I was like, yeah, sure, let's talk about it. And it's been fun talking about a variety of different topics and having different guests on and getting their takes and things like that. So it's been fun. It's been fun. As I said, I've been thinking of doing the show myself, but getting to the weeds of what I want the show to be about, that's why I just haven't done anything.
Because like I think you definitely have a personality to keep like your own show going. So I'm just surprised you haven't done anything on your own channel, to be honest.
Yeah, it's trying to figure out again what direction I want to take as I said, analysis paralysis. And just as a lot of people saying, when you're trying to get into YouTube, you gotta be committed.
Oh, I guess you just got a sub from my friend Devil Shooter.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks, man. I keep telling myself I want to try to get a content out this summer to try to get, because I've been stuck under 100 subs for the longest. It's like my upload schedule is not at all consistent, so it makes sense. But I've been figuring out as what I want to do. I know I'm playing Hellblade 2 currently. I was like, let's try to actually sit down and do like a review. That's one type of content I want to push out, is do reviews, but like not even brand new games. I just want to do it at my own pace. So that's probably what I'm going to do, because to keep it simple for myself, because the more I think on it, then the more you gotta, what's the word I'm looking for? You start to analyze a lot when it comes to content creation. And that's definitely the reasons why I haven't been making content, because the more I think about it, the more I'm like, okay, I gotta talk about this topic, but I want to get it on it as soon as possible. Otherwise, the news cycle dies down, and then there's no point in making it because I take too long making content. So it's a cycle. It is a cycle of overthinking, I guess you could say. That's definitely one of the issues is overthinking.
I've fallen down that pit hole so many times.
Mhm.
So many
And of
videos I
course,
scrapped because of it.
yeah, and of course, just personal life stuff going on when I'm trying to do other things just to get my own personal stuff figured out. Trying to get a YouTube thing going at the same time is just like, yeah, I got some other stuff I gotta do. So,
Yeah. Okay, so I guess going off from the YouTube stuff, I also noticed you have a Twitch, but you don't really stream on there either.
stop judging me. So I mean, the same thing. I dabbled with Twitch. I would have to look through my content library to see what I played, but yeah, it's just when I went into Twitch, I was thinking, okay, I play games, obviously. And Twitch, for the most part, seems simple outside looking at you. You go live and hit play, and there you go. It's not that simple in terms of if you're trying to build a community, you gotta be more interactive with people. But yeah, I tried getting into Twitch because, as I said, it's a simple turn in the game to start playing, and it was it was okay. I guess you could say I've dabbled with. I think I tried streaming like Fear at one point. I was playing Tunic at another point. I did what else? Wolong. They had like a beta for Wolong. I've done a few different games on the channel, but uh, I guess the issue there is again consistency. I thought about, you play a ton of Destiny. Why don't you stream Destiny? I was like, there's too many Destiny content creators out there. I ain't got time.
It's just too
I made
competitive.
yeah, it's yeah. When it comes to the streaming side of things, I play a lot of Destiny. It would be a no brainer just to hop on Twitch and just play Destiny. But I don't want to, what's the word I'm looking for, attract the Destiny community, if any, because I don't want to shoehorn myself into being a Destiny channel. That's why if you go through my content uploads, I've done like some Destiny build videos or talked about a bit about Destiny. I think that had a few months ago they did like a reveal for the next DLC that's coming out in terms of what they're doing with the subclasses and stuff like that for the final shape. And I made a video about that, and it was fun talking about it. But at the same time, I was like, I don't want to make this no, I don't want to be the Destiny channel. So that's why I
Yeah, a
don't
lot of
do
people kind of fall.
Destiny
A,
stuff.
a lot of people kind of fall into that pitfall of like, just like you kind of label to one type of content, and then you kind of just stuck doing that for your audience.
And then you try to branch out and it doesn't work. I know with and this is obviously different because Datto, if anyone knows, Datto does Destiny. He was doing Destiny. He's been doing Destiny stuff since like probably alpha, if not beta, or the full release of Destiny 1. He put out a video recently talking about his plans for, and again, this is a person that's been doing this for 10 plus years. But he talked about saying, hey, I tried doing a variety channel and that just does nothing in compared to Destiny. I was like, I don't want to do that. Of course, I don't have much in comparison to begin with, but I don't want to get into that rabbit hole because
As someone who does variety content, I can say does not work out the best.
yeah, I would imagine so because you're just, unless you're doing like a let's play type of thing and you're building that community around being a let's player, it's hard to grow an audience. But the more I think about it, the more I'm just like, I want to, how can I put it? Where do I want my channel to be essentially? Do I want it? And obviously, a lot of people say if you're hopping into YouTube, don't do it for any type of income. You're doing it purely because it's fun to do. And at that point, that's where I'm really starting to settle on like, okay, what's the route that I want to do? Not because I know it'll bring in income or potentially bring in income, but because I genuinely enjoy doing it. And that's what I'm starting to narrow things down for myself. As I said, I want to see how I can do with whenever I finish Hellblade. It's not the longest game, but whenever I finish Hellblade, try to see how it's like to actually sit down and write a review. It's not my first one on the channel, but my scoring review that I did, I don't know if it's still up, it wasn't the best. So really try to go into writing a review, taking notes, trying to figure out things, how I want to approach the review process. So yeah, just figuring out what feels right to do just as a pastime and not like over analyzing. Oh, we gotta do metrics and numbers and all that fun stuff. What's the word I'm looking for? Merchandising, and you gotta hit the sub count. And just simplifying it for myself and say, hey, will it be fun to do, and just see how things go naturally. So
Just for anybody who's watching, those numbers do matter to me. So hit that like and subscribe button.
hit the subscribe, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm here now. Let me do it now. So
Wait, you mean to tell me you weren't subscribed before?
I'm busy talking. That didn't cross my mind.
Honestly, YouTube's been beating me dry recently because every time I get to 330, they take away 2 subs. So
That's weird.
I'm trying to get to fucking 500 to meet that subscriber count, you know, to get monetized. But
Just make some Warframe. Just no. Hop on Genshin Impact. There's a guy.
oh yeah, that will
Destiny
definitely
community,
give me a lot of.
Yeah, he was big. That's what I jokingly said it with my brother, but I was kind of partial, like maybe I should get into like what's the popular games going on. I just make a separate channel talking about the popular stuff or just enjoying the popular stuff.
You know, I was thinking about doing that for Helldivers too, because I enjoyed the first one so much, but then I thought like it's gonna be very competitive. I don't want to do that.
No, definitely. So yeah, that's like I said, that's why I don't really do any Destiny streams or a lot of Destiny content. I'm like, this got to be competitive. So, but that's why I said also just figuring out what's enjoyable to do for the sake of it's enjoyable. And you know, unfortunately, as you know, being creatives, that's always is going to be there. It's like, man, these metrics could be better, and that's where it's just like at some point you just gotta say, I'm just doing this because I enjoy it, and just leave it at that. So, but
yeah,
it's easier said than done.
I guess it kind of leads me to my final question for like your content stuff. Is like what do you have planned like for the future, like your channel and stuff like that? If you do have any, I mean, like, or do you just plan on continuing like doing podcasts with other people?
So yeah, with as I said, the plan so far is with this channel, I'm hoping to try review content. As I said, Hellblade 2 is going to be the first, technically second one. As I said, it's going to review, but Hellblade 2 is going to be one. I've been going back and forth with wanting to do a podcast, similar, you know, with the podcast idea. I'm debating if I want to do what you're doing, where it's just like interviews with people, versus something as Wasted with Wise, where we talk about news topics, and a lot of other channels do with talk about news topics, and that's where the confliction is there. Like, I already have a name for the podcast. I don't want to say weird so no one steals it. I have a name and maybe a logo style of like what I want to do for like the logo or something like that. But
all right,
again,
time to steal your idea.
So I already have a name for like the name and the logo, things like that. Idea I haven't actually said that available, but now it's like, okay, do I want to do news topics or do I want to do interviews? And that's where I'm getting tossed up about on like which one I want to go with. And I'm kind of leaning towards wanting to do interviews because it won't be as constricting in the sense of like, as I said, one of the issues I don't really do news topics now. It's like you got to hop on the news topic as soon as it's out there, and you know,
I tried that for a while. It was hard.
Yeah, like trying to keep up with it, especially for myself. I'm not the best when it comes to like getting my thoughts out on the go. I gotta like make the most complex script whenever I am trying to do a script or anything like that.
To be fair, you don't have to be good right away. You just have to just get used to it.
Yeah. So that's but as I'm listening to like other channels and seeing people do like interviews with developers, that's where I'm like really starting to think, you know, that would be fun just to talk to content creators, get their input on their YouTube journey, as well as talk to developers and get their input on, you know, their journey as a developer and also their input on just the industry. So, and it's always a rotation of potential guests and different stories to be heard. So it adds that, you know, uniqueness to it. But again, it's just like all over the place in terms of figuring out.
Fair enough.
Then I'm also one of the things I'm trying to figure out is, okay, what's a content that I can get out weekly, and then what's a monthly content I could get out type of deal. And what I'm thinking on whenever I get back into it is try streaming again. And maybe I'm thinking at least start off doing it twice a week. As I said, I'm not trying to be a full-time streamer, so twice a week at the most, I would say, or at the least, I should say rather. and then off of those streams, maybe do like highlight reels or something like that. So I want to try to get some type of weekly content going on. And then for monthly content, as I said, with Hellblade being one, I don't know when I'll put out when I finish it. I would like to try to have reviews as the monthly thing. Of course, I'm gonna avoid playing your Valhallas and your Odysseys and things like that, because I am not trying to put hours into beat the game first and then doing the review. So that's what I tell myself. Try to find a weekly content style or bi-weekly style, and then also have a monthly style content. So that's what I'm looking for. And unfortunately, I have another YouTube channel that I have ideas for as well. So yeah, it's like, well, you know, you're trying to make another YouTube channel, you can't get this one going. Like, yeah, that's fair.
I was gonna say that.
But with that one, the idea is probably do like animations or something like that. But I gotta be good at animating, especially in 3D space. That I have ideas I want to put out, but I was like, we gotta really practice on that one, because I've dabbled with animation. I do video editing for every now and then for part-time work, so I'm familiar with the Adobe Suite. And
Are you trying to take my job, sir?
No, I don't. Wait, who you talking to for a video editing? They need an extra editor. No. So I've dabbled with, as I said, I do video editing. I've done some animated projects before for schooling, and so I've done some work in that space before. I just never expanded on it. So that's kind of where I'm wanting to do as a separate YouTube project. And for that one specifically, I am 100% going to be at the least try to do like a monthly release content. I have some ideas right now. I just gotta, if you're familiar with animating and how long it takes, depending on what style of animation you're going for.
Oh yeah, I'm taking an animation class right now.
Yeah, that's a tall order. But I'm working with the idea plan at the moment is gonna be motion graphics, mostly text, and what's the word I'm looking for? Background effects and stuff like that. So it's not going to be trying to animate run scenes and stuff like that. So that's where I'm like, maybe a month wouldn't be too much of a tall order if I'm not doing anything complex. And then I also tell myself I want to learn Blender. I don't know about that way, but because it's not to go too far down the rabbit hole, but one of the reasons I've been listening to like different streamers, specifically in the gaming space, and other content creators, as I'm listening to it, this would be a fun little animated short. So that's why I'm like, okay, now I want to get a animated channel going, because I have so many ideas where like this would be a fun short idea. This would be a fun 3-minute, 5-minute video idea. So essentially making an outlet of sorts. So that's the idea. But just reel things back in for this channel. I'm all over the place, so I apologize. To reel things back in for this channel, the idea, hopefully at some point, is a monthly, which would be a review, hopefully. And then a weekly, if I get back into streaming, streams twice a week, and maybe a highlight reel. So, but we got to actually do those. So,
all right. Well, and your podcast and stuff, you're still gonna be continuing doing that with other people?
Yeah, as long as schedule allows it, and Wise doesn't kick me off the show. Yeah, I don't mind streaming. So that's for the near future. Yeah, I see myself streaming. As I said, Voice It Wise every Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Make sure to do my part. But yeah, that's it. So far, yeah.
All right. Well, that's good to know. And yeah, I guess that wraps up everything I had to ask. I don't know if you have anything else you can add, but
I'm just glad you didn't ask me my favorite franchises or consoles.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna ask you that real quick then.
Oh shit! See you later, guys. I'll talk to you later. Why'd I bring that up?
Just give me your top 5. Just give me your top 5.
Top 5. Can I cheat a little bit and say franchises as well, or
Sure.
does it have to be? Okay, so for one, it would be the Soulsborne franchise, and I'm gonna cheat and say Soulsborne, Sekiro, and Elden Ring. I'm gonna slap all those things out together. It's because they play so dramatically different, but
So just from Soft Soulsborne games.
yeah, from Soulsborne games. So I'm cheating a little bit. Monster Hunter franchise. I love Monster Hunter. I love Monster Hunter. Ocarina of Time. I got to put that up there. As I said, I love Wind Waker, but Ocarina of Time has to go up there. 4 and 5 is where I still have difficulty at. Just for the sake of not wasting time trying to figure out and going on life's journey to figure out what Soul's last 2 spots are. I guess I should put Destiny up there because I play so much time and put so much time into it. you know. But I say that, but then I think of like Uncharted and Bioshock and Dead Space and the story side of games. It's like, yeah, I like Destiny, but when it comes to games that had that oh my goodness moment, especially like Bioshock One, yeah, we'll you know what, screw it. I'm gonna say Uncharted 2. Maybe Uncharted 2. Then the last spot, man. Hmm. Let me put it this way. So let me put this on the record. If anyone goes back and like 5 years later, they listen to me and say, "Hey, this wasn't the same response." These are always going to rotate out, but I want to give a shout out. There's a lot of other games, but I just want to give a shout out to Crisis Core on the PSP. If anyone knows Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, uh, yeah, definitely. I'll put that in number 5 spot. I don't see too many people talk about Crisis Core, but I love Crisis Core on the PSP. The combat, the story, the CG animations when you're doing your summons, the tragic story of our boy Zach Fair and what happened to him. Like I love that game. It's one of the was it one of the songs? It's called "Price of Freedom," I believe. It's one of the reasons I got into playing guitar because that song.
Oh yeah, the music in that game was fucking good.
It was so good. It was so good. So yeah, definitely got to put Crisis Core on that list. So yeah, we'll go with that route. Like I said, these are always fluctuating. I think the ones that will stay in the top 3 would be Dark Souls, the Soulsborne, as we said, FromSoft, Monster Hunter, and Ocarina of Time. 4 and 5 is always going to be cycling out at this point. Like it's always going to be cycling out.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, I guess that goes. I guess that wraps over everything. But yeah. I do appreciate you for showing up, though, Triple, and yeah, and I do hope you good luck with growing your future out for your channel, because like I definitely think you have. I think you do have the personality to like run your own stuff, because like I think you should like expand.
Like I said, that's the goal. I just gotta be. I gotta get, as the kids are saying these days, you gotta get disciplined. Just do it like Shia LaBeouf. So yeah, that's I'm gonna try to keep it simple for myself, because overthinking things does lead to not acting. So I'm gonna try to get through Hellblade and have this put out at some point. Don't know when. Probably, as I said, if we're going for a video month, we'll try to get the review for Hellblade out sometime next month, and see where things go from there.
All right. Well, okay. All right. Well, yeah. And let everyone know where they can find you at. Make sure I did make sure to put your links into the description below.
Yeah, of course. If you're not able to click the links for whatever reason, you can find me on Twitter at Triple Combo Gaming, the gaming YouTube account that also likes a lot of art and anime stuff, so people get confused when they see my account. As well as Twitch and YouTube at Triple Combo Gaming whenever I do upload stuff. When I do stream, I try to stream on YouTube and Twitch at the same time. I know Twitch did some weird thing. I had to look into the rules again where they try to prevent what's that word I'm looking for? Multi-stream. There's a simulcasting. They try to lessen the ability of that. But yeah, usually when I stream, I try to do it on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. So yeah, one more time: Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, or X as people want to call it, Triple Combo Gaming. And yeah, that's about it. And thanks for having me, Callie. I know we spoke about doing this show for a while now, and I'm glad to finally be on.
Yeah. And also, I just want to make sure everyone knows that I will be taking a break for the next 2 weeks, because I got some important school stuff I got to focus on. So yeah, I will try to make that up with doing some like random live streams here and there for like just playing some games. So yeah, keep your eye out, and I do have some guests planned after, once I'm done with my classes. So yeah, I will be returning with the show fairly soon.
I do have a question. How do you make this setup? How do you get this setup going? I see this in dreams. So it's like something you created, recorded, and then you drop it into OBS?
Okay. So some of the assets are already pre-made from other people. I just kind of put stuff together to make like what I want to like put to, or what like the kind of vision I have, you know. So I just kind of borrow the assets and then make like a scene. So for this, I kind of want to make it like a studio type of environment.
Yeah, I dig it. I like it. Every time I see you creating stuff, I'm like, man, I gotta be like Callie now. He's doing some really cool stuff. Like,
my whole idea for doing this was because like other people would just have like a static background with nothing going on. It would just kind of just be like a picture, and then like the Discord logos on the side. For this, I kind of wanted to be more lively, you know.
No, it's great. Like being genuine when I say this, like when I see you do stuff like that, that just makes me want to do something similar. Not like ideally the same, but be extra creative with it as what you're doing here. So it's this stuff.
My original idea was to pay for an animator to like make it like a 2D animation one that looked like an anime, but like doing that for every episode would cost me quite a bit of money.
Yeah, no, I get you. I get you.
Yeah. So I just kind of figured out I have access to Dreams. I could do it here. Why not?
No, that sounds.
Although the day I can't make someone a mascot character is the day when I'm gonna be in a bit of a pickle for this show.
I got you. I'm trying to think if I bought Dreams Day one and never played it.
Fair enough.
Oh man.
Yeah. Now you know my secret. So yeah. Well,
notes.
Thank you everybody for showing up for this episode. Tune in for the next time whenever I do decide to upload that. And yeah, have a good rest of the weekend, guys, and peace.
This is shout out to Double Shooter, Classic Cage. I'm all over the place at Nelson Gaming. You guys are awesome.
All right.